We tend to look at leaders as these pillars of strength, right? But what about the burdens they carry that we never see? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the silent weight of the executive crown, those hidden pressures of leadership that are so often felt but so rarely talked about.
Wow, that quote really hits home, doesn't it? It perfectly sets the stage for what we're about to unpack, this profound sense of isolation that happens when the very strength people see in you becomes your heaviest burden. Okay, so first things first. We have to tackle this really powerful, really pervasive myth, this idea that leaders are somehow invincible. But are they? Let's find out.
There's this common belief out there. You've probably heard it, maybe even thought it, that people at the top are just different, that they're shielded from the feelings and vulnerabilities that affect the rest of us.
But the reality is the complete opposite. Leaders are incredibly human. In fact, the higher you climb, the more is at stake. That fear of falling, of making the wrong call, becomes a very real and constant weight that they have to carry around internally.
And when you're on the outside looking in, you just see this series of relentless expectations. First up, strength. It isn't just hoped for, it's just assumed, it's taken for granted.
Then there's clarity. You're expected to always have the answer, to be that lighthouse in the fog, providing a clear, unwavering direction for absolutely everyone.
And finally, composure. It's simply non-negotiable. You have to be the calm in the storm, even when, especially when, you're the one feeling the turbulence the most. Now you put all three of those together, and you've got an incredible and almost always invisible amount of pressure.
So all this pressure, it leads directly to what you might call the weight of the crown. It's that profound solitude that so often ends up defining life in the executive suite.
It's a pretty direct and honestly a kind of startling correlation. The more responsibility you take on, the more isolated you become. That saying, it's lonely at the top, it's not just a metaphor.
And you can really see this divide. I mean, think about it. On the main floors of a company, there's this buzz, camaraderie, people laughing, constant interaction. But then you move up to the executive floor. The offices get bigger, sure, but the human connection, that often shrinks, leaving this quiet, expansive solitude.
But carrying this constant, silent pressure isn't harmless. It has real consequences. So let's take a look at the very high cost of internalizing all that weight, day in and day out.
The real pressure, the stuff that really gets to you, it doesn't show up in the big meetings or the quarterly reports. Now, it lives in the quiet moments. It's in that tiny pause between two huge decisions, in the silence right after a really difficult conversation, or late at night when all the noise of the day finally fades and you're just left alone with your own thoughts.
And look, this isn't just about feeling stressed. It has a tangible, measurable impact. Modern leadership psychology confirms it. When you constantly bottle up that kind of pressure without any release, the quality of your decisions starts to go down. And that's absolutely crucial, because that silent internal struggle, it carries a very real cost for the entire organization. So, if just bottling it all up isn't the answer, what is? Well, let's pivot and focus on a totally new way of thinking about leadership resilience, this idea of finding strength in stillness.
This quote really forces us to redefine what we think of as strength. Because real strength isn't about the absence of strain. It's not about pretending the pressure doesn't exist or just trying to power through it no matter what.
No, true strength is something else entirely. It's about having the wisdom to know when you need to hit the pause button, to just stop long enough to get your clarity back and see the path forward again. So how do you actually do that? Well, it all starts with just acknowledging the weight, not trying to deny it. From there, you have to be really intentional about creating space for reflection. It's not just going to happen on its own. And it's through that process that you can finally regain the clarity and the stillness you need to be an effective leader.
And this brings us to our final section, which is really a call to action. It's a call for leaders, sure, but it's also a call for all the people who support them.
If you're a leader listening to this, I just want you to pause for a second and ask yourself this question. What silent weight are you carrying right now? The point isn't to try and solve it this very instant, it's just to acknowledge that it's there. Now, for everybody else, support teams, staff, colleagues, this is where you come in. You can actually play a crucial role here. You can make a really powerful difference in helping to lighten this invisible load. I mean, can you imagine the impact of a simple message like this? It doesn't have to be some grand gesture, just a direct, sincere acknowledgement of a leader's hard work. That can be an unbelievably powerful gesture of support.
And at the end of the day, that's the key takeaway. In a world of high stakes and constant pressure, just a single moment of human thoughtfulness can be more meaningful than you could ever realize. It's a simple reminder that even the people at the very top were never designed to carry everything all by themselves.